For the last week or so, I've been playing my Atari 7800. The 7800 is an interesting system. Not only is it backwards compatible with Atari 2600 games, but has its own library of games, including upgraded ports of classic Atari games like Asteroids and Centipede, but also has games like Choplifter, Xevious, Dig Dug, Pole Position 2, Dark Chambers, and Robotron 2084. The Atari 7800 also has this incredibly fun little game, almost exclusively for it. Released in the arcades first and then ported to the Atari 8-bit computer and the Atari 7800 later, Food Fight follows the exploits of a kid named Charlie Chuck. No relation to the Chuck Wagon, I assume. Who, according to the game's manual, loves to eat more than anything else. So when the carnival came to town, Charlie Chuck headed straight for the food fight contest, because nothing shows off your love of eating food more than wasting tons of it in a gladiatorial contest of throwing it at other human beings. Food Fight is a single-screen game where the whole point is to traverse each level to eat an ice cream cone on the other side of the screen, within the 32-second time limit before the cone melts. Charlie always starts on the right side of the screen, and the cone is always on the left side of the screen. The objective sounds simple. However, in Charlie's way of victory are four ill-tempered chefs, Angelo, Oscar, Zorba, and Jacques, who do a very good job of harassing Charlie on his quest for the cone. In Food Fight, the ammo in the game are the piles of food stacked randomly in each level. Charlie can hold one item of food at a time, so he must acquire more from the piles strewn throughout the map. This means that players have to make every shot count. One shot, one kill, because Charlie can only hold one item at a time, so missing that one shot can leave players frantically scrambling to the next pile of food. This gives the game a good amount of intensity. Add that to the one-hit deaths where Charlie can lose the match if he is touched by an adversary, hit by food, or falls in a manhole, on top of the limited amounts of ammo in each food pile, with the exception of the infinite watermelons, which never run out of ammo for some reason. The fact that the game speed seems to increase every 16 levels or so from my counting, completely randomized levels so you never play the same level twice, and you have a recipe for a game that, despite its simplistic concept, is exhilarating, addictive, and one of my favorite games, if not my favorite game I own, for the Atari 7800 so far. You start the game by choosing your difficulty level, and after that you can choose to skip up to level 16 right from the start if you want to. Once you get past level 16, the game remembers your level progress. So, should you get a game over and end up back at the title screen, you can skip right back to the level you were on. This means that with enough perseverance and focus, Food Fight can be beaten. If there actually is an end to the game, that is, and your cart doesn't just, say, randomly freeze up on you at level 59, thus killing your progress in the game. Not that that's what happened to me. Honestly, I have no idea if this game has a set number of levels or is just an endless loop. As with the way it is set up, there are endless combinations of level possibilities. As I alluded to earlier, every level in Food Fight is completely randomized. In fact, you never play the same level twice in this game, even should you have to continue and thus replay the same level twice. As you get further in the game, the AI difficulty ramps up as quickly as the game speed does, which amps the tension up in the game. Even on mere intermediate difficulty as I am playing on, as you get further, your four ill-tempered adversaries pose all the more threat on your quest for that ice cream cone. In fact, I swear in the later levels these fools are cheating with the Turbo Touch controller. The game gets very tense very quickly and is quite hair-raising as a result. Food Fight has a Robotron-esque quality to it where the best parts of the game come in those moments you never see coming, and the feeling of tension that comes as the game speeds up, and the AI gets harder. Some of the best high points in the game come in those times where you swear you're a goner and have no chance to win, but somehow manage to scrape through with a level victory. On the same note, there are those times where you swear you are home free, a split second away from victory, only to be hit with a piece of food right at the goal. With the 4 against 1 odds, the game keeps you feeling as if your back is against the wall, which makes victory all the more sweeter than the ice cream cone goal at the end. The gameplay comes down to simple but pure fun. This is a great exclusive for the 7800. There is also some strategy to be had in the game. Learning how to dodge on the fly is imperative to being successful, as is making your shots count. The game also allows players to carry food on to the next round should they have any in their hands when they reach the ice cream cone. There's even some strategy in trying to lead your opponents with projectiles in order to hit them in the right timing. Mind you, I completely suck at every single one of these, but the game forces you to adapt and form these strategies under fire. And with enough play, I did see my skill level at the game improve quite a bit. Another good tip I can give beginning players is, if you are struggling with this game on the lower difficulty settings, shift the difficulty to expert mode and try to survive a couple of rounds before shifting it back to the difficulty level you were on. Learning how to survive this game on the hardest difficulty will help give you an edge on the lower difficulty settings. Graphically, the game certainly isn't the most complex I have seen, even on the 7800, but it does run well. And you can make out the various food projectiles and the character models pretty well as well. The 7800 certainly wasn't as capable as the NES or Sega Master System, but the game runs smoothly, and even has some nice touches, like having Charlie's head point in the direction you are moving or aiming. I only made it to level 59 in this footage before the game froze up on me, but I don't remember seeing any slowdown, even when the game speed amped up dramatically. Granted, there might have been some, but I didn't have time to stop and notice in the white-knuckled throes of food battle. The music in the game is used sparingly, and the sound effects are par for the course in Atari gaming. The 7800 used the exact same outdated sound chip as the Atari 2600, so sound and music were certainly not its strong points. That being said, the sounds in the game are decent with a retro flair, with the longest clips of music being played during the cool instant replay segments that play when the player does exceptionally well in a level, which is actually a pretty cool effect, all things considered. The game controls well with the 7800 joystick, however for this footage I am using a Genesis 3-button controller which the 7800 recognizes as an Atari 2600 joystick. The Genesis controller works on quite a few 7800 games, just not the ones that use both action buttons, and it only recognizes the D-pad and the B button on the Genesis controller. However, like your Super Nintendo fanboy friend who came over to play Sega Genesis in the 90s, the 7800 has no idea what to do with the glorious Genesis 6-button controller. But the 3-button controller works well on those games that recognize it. It may be the second best way to play Genesis games, but as a Nintendo brat who grew up in the age of the D-pad, it is my favorite way to play Atari 2600, 7800, and even ColecoVision games that work with it. The bottom line! If If you're one of the few who owns or is interested in collecting for the Atari 7800 Pro system, Food Fight is definitely one of the best games I have found for the system. Not only is it pretty much an exclusive, its edge-of-your-seat action will have you gripping your 7800 joystick for dear life. If you're interested in the 7800 beyond its backwards compatibility with 2600 games, Food Fight needs to be in your collection. And like most of the games for the system, this game actually won't cost you very much to pick up, as collecting for the system isn't even close to as expensive as collecting for most retro consoles is. In fact, I like Food Fight so much it's actually in my intro video. Right after Guardian Heroes. If you look really quickly, it's there. It's there. I swear it's there. Look into Food Fight if you have a 7800 or are interested. This should be one of the first games you pick up. It's fun, it's simple, and it's fun. Most important of all, need I repeat the simple fact that it's fun. Pick it up.